spicy living sofa. It is episode 474. If you're back, I'm so happy you're back. And if you're here for the first time, welcome. Please subscribe to my show and share it with your friends, especially if you like it. And subscribe to my newsletter, which you will find if you go to busylivingsober.com. You'll be prompted and you will get a newsletter into your inbox every Friday. So please go ahead and do that. And today's topic is going back to school. Is it the end or is it just the beginning? Okay, everybody, my thoughts are A, that it's a new beginning. Here it is. It's a fresh start. It's the beginning of a new school year. It's September. It's going to be cool out. It's going to be so nice. And it's Labor Day. And I don't think it's something to be sad about. I think it's something to be excited about. So I've been thinking about, wow, it's like you're getting ready for school, and that brings on a lot of stress. There's a lot of stress going on in our world anyway when it comes to politics and this election that's coming up in November. And just taking a deep breath. I was listening to the Halo app yesterday, and they were talking about how it's so important to be in the moments that you're in. So I'm right here, right now. I'm wiggling my toes. It's not Wednesday, actually. For me, it's Tuesday, and I record on Tuesday, and I put it up on Wednesday. And so here we are, and you guys are listening on Wednesday, August 28th, 2024. And here we are embarking on Labor Day weekend. And if your dream was to be sober this summer and you did it, congratulations. If your dream was to be sober this summer and you had a couple slips, don't let that define your journey. You're on a journey. We're all on journeys. I think that that's where society has really, really changed. It's like we're here for a destination. Like you're going to get to a destination, you can check it off your list, and everything's going to be good. But that's not the case, is it? We're on journeys, and we have ups and we have downs. We have times when it's just flat, and it's kind of like the oceans, like waves that come in and out and in and out. And instead of taking life as like, oh my gosh, what am I going to have in the future? I've got to get to this marker. I have to get another 5 years of this or another 2 years of this. Why not instead enjoy the ride? We are in such crazy times. We all don't know what's going to happen. In the program that I've been in, 12 steps. Step one, I'm powerless. I had to come to that realization when I was getting sober, was that I was powerless over that first drink. And not only was I powerless over that first drink, I was also powerless over what was going to happen with my kids, my ex-husband, my family of origin, so many things that I was powerless over. And then as time went on, I realized I'm powerless over the weather. I'm powerless over if I'm, what's going to happen today in the world. And I think we're living in such crazy times that I am completely powerless over what others are going to do. I've been posting a lot of stuff on Facebook just because it's stuff I like. As if you're listening and you don't like Trump, you might not like this podcast. I'm just going to warn you of that. And you might want to go, okay, I'm going to unsubscribe to your show. Totally get it. That is your prerogative. The last I checked, we still live in America. And you get that prerogative. And for the people that have written to me and said, I don't want to listen to you anymore because I don't believe in your politics, that's cool too. You do you, boo-boo. But really getting to the place that you're okay with you is what is most important. And again, I've been posting these things on Facebook, and there's all these fights going on my Facebook pages, and I think it's kind of hysterical. And I always write in there, enough. I don't really care, because I will not go on somebody else's page that doesn't have the same beliefs that I do and go say, oh my gosh, you're voting for her. It's none of my business. It is kind of my business, though, that if we do get to this place that people are like trying to shove down our throats that, you know what, Kamala Harris knows what she's doing and she can totally run a country when she's never been elected for anything. Joe Biden was elected and he chose her. We did not choose her. Okay. That has to be number one. She's never run for anything in her life. Number two, she's never done anything in her life. And I feel like because I'm sober, I hate people that lie. I don't know if people that are drinking like people that are going to lie, and they can just sit back and go, oh, okay, you can do this to me. And I think that also being sober makes me go and read things and look at different things. I can barely watch CNN. It makes me go, grrr, because I know that they're lies. And you say, how do I know that they're lice? Because I go and I research people that are really bright, like Ben Shapiro. So bright. That man is so bright. He went to undergrad at UCLA, Stanford, maybe even. And then he went and got his law degree at Harvard. So smart. I listened to him because he's smart. I think he's smart. He's devout. He's an Orthodox Jewish man. I appreciate that. He has God in his life, and it's very important to him and his wife to raise his children like that. So I go and I listen to people like him. He's very intelligent. And I just think that we all are in this time where it's just there's so much noise. And I think you have to really investigate what's important to you. If I hear another woman tell me that they're voting for Kamala Harris because of her women's reproductive rights, okay, last I checked, we all live in states. It's not a federal issue, it's a state issue. That is all Donald Trump said. It's a state issue. It is a state issue on whether or not you're going to get an abortion is up to your state and the people who live in your state to vote for. It's not the job of the president. Okay. The job of the president is to make sure our balances budget, our balances are budgeted, that people aren't coming in and out of this country for nothing, and that we make sure that the people that live in this country are safe. We do not need to defund the police. I think we need more police. That's my opinion. Everything on this podcast, by the way, is my opinion. And I think we need to be aware of what's going on globally because we are part of a global world. It's not just here in the United States. And most Americans do not even know what the capital of their state is. It's kind of ironic. And most young people are more interested in their selfie than they are of what's going on in the world. And that's okay. That's okay. But then, I mean, don't tell me that you're going to vote for Kamala Harris if you don't know anything about her and you've really researched her. If you're intelligent, you are still voting for her. I don't get that. You can't be that bright if you are. That's my opinion again, especially if you're Jewish and you're voting for her. I mean, she's totally for Hamas. She is not for Israel. I think that's kind of crazy. And for me, being half Jewish, I think when what happened on October 7th happened and they went over to Israel, Hamas went over to Israel and killed all those children and all those women, and especially kids that were at a concert that had no idea what was going on. And my kids go to those type of concerts. So what if somebody came and killed my kids? That's not okay. You can't poke a bear and then think nobody's going to bite you back. I'm sorry. If somebody pokes my kids, I still defend them. Okay. That's my job as their mom. I think Israel's the same way. But you're going to support them and go for Kamala Harris. Do you know what that means? Okay. Go research it. It's up to you. It's up to you. But I can't just talk about politics today. I've got to talk about the fact that it is a new, we're going back to school. I'm not going back to school, but a lot of my friends' kids are going back to school. Actually, my son is going back to school. He's getting his PhD, and school started yesterday, and actually on Monday. And it's so crazy. He's like, Mom, there's no place to park. This is so crazy. All I'm doing is driving around in circles. I feel like I'm at my old job where I couldn't find a place to park. And how many people feel like that? They get to school. If you're a senior in high school and you get to drive to school for the first time, it's so exciting, right? And where am I going to park my car? And you have to get there, and where's my parking spot? And that's so exciting. And if you're going and your kids are going to college for the first time, and you're like, oh my gosh, they're rushing a fraternity and this stuff is crazy. I just tell you a story. When one of my children went off to school and was pledging I'm not going to say pledging something in the Greek world, and they came back and they said, Mom, that's the first time I blacked out. I was like, oh my God, how did that happen? They said, well, I went to this place and they were handing out handles of a clear liquor. And they said, you have to drink this. And he was like, oh my God. Or she was like, I'm not gonna say who it was. And whatever child it was, because I don't want to give anybody up, did this. And they came back and I said, oh my gosh, I blacked out for the first time because I had to drink all this clear liquid because I was told to do this if I wanted to be part of this society. And I said to this person in my family, you know what? You should have poured out that clear liquid in the bathroom and filled it up with water, and they wouldn't have any idea. And this person in my family said, oh my gosh, I never thought about that. Do you think about telling your children what to do and what to expect when they're going to school? And ideas so that they don't go down the same path that we went down. I never thought of the clear liquid thing. I never thought of that. I never thought, oh my gosh, I have to tell my kids this. If you are asked to drink clear, straight, clear liquid liquor, and you better be aware. And a way of diverting everything is going into the bathroom, pouring it out, and filling it with water, because then you have choices again. You're able to make choices because you're drinking water and you're not drinking grain alcohol. Hmm? I never thought about that. I never thought about that. And I never thought about how many emotions like our kids have going back to school. I remember when I went back to school, I was always so nervous. I was always so scared to go back to school. And I'm sure a lot of kids today say they're so anxious. They're so anxious about going back to school. And anxiety, I believe, as you guys know, is fear. So everybody's feeling this way. You know, everybody's getting all amped up. They want to run out and they want to buy new sneakers and new clothes for school, even though, gosh, moms and dads out there, I totally feel for you. I just went to the grocery store just for me and my husband, and I spent $400. And I think I bought nothing. And I can't imagine having to buy the groceries and the clothes for the kids and the sneakers for the kids, and everything's quadruple the price that you had paid previously. And you're like, how am I going to do it? And that's bringing you fear and anxiety. You're like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do this? How am I going to do this? And for me personally, when I went through those scary times of like, oh my gosh, I'm scared. I can't give my kids everything they need. I can't afford these things. What did I do? What did I do? I prayed a lot. I prayed a lot. And then I sometimes would scream and yell at my kids because I couldn't come forth and tell them what I was so scared about, because that would be, I didn't want to give them my problems, even though sometimes I did tell them, I'm upset because I can't give you what you want and I can't afford it. I can't afford it. And I'd have to tell them the truth. And I was sober when this happened, and it was really humbling for me, and it was really humbling for them. And they learned a lot because of that, because I had to be honest with them. And I think a lot of us, instead of going and putting stuff on credit cards that we can't afford, we've got to get to this place where we're going to have to be honest, and we're going to have to be like, all right, I'm going to either do this or I'm going to do that. And I was a big chicken buyer when my kids were little. They'll tell you, oh my gosh, mom was always making chicken. And I buy a chicken, a roasted chicken, cook it in the oven, and then get whatever vegetables I could get and try to have that go as long as I could. And I had boys, so they ate a lot. Not that girls don't, but my boys like to eat a lot, and having enough food for them. And today, I want to say that RFK being brought in with Donald Trump is a huge, huge gift. I was listening to, I mentioned it again last week. It's called Good Energy, this book, Good Energy, about the food that we're putting into our bodies and how it's making us sick. But our government right now and what's been going on for been about 16 years. Trump was only in office for 4 of 16 years. It's been run by Democrats. And Trump was only there for 4 years. And you think about it, he only really got 3 years because half of it's running for your next election. And food is a huge issue in our country. And illness and healthcare is another huge issue. And you guys know I've had this herniated disc, and I had Dr. Camerlink, my doctor, who helped me with my herniated disc on Monday. He was my guest on Monday. But realizing that healthcare is so expensive, and I pay for my own healthcare because my husband and I work for ourselves, and it covers nothing. I call a doctor and a specialist because I have to have something done because I had a test to pick something up. And I called the best doctor to have them look at this. And they're like, oh, we don't take your insurance. I'm like, I pay so much money for my insurance and you're not going to cover this test. And they're like, no. But I'm like, okay, I guess I have to pay out of pocket. I have to pay out of pocket. I pay for insurance and I have to pay out of pocket. What? 2 plus 2 is not equaling 4. And you're going to vote for Kamala Harris because she believes in it's okay to have an abortion at the Democratic National Convention. It was okay. Go ahead, have an abortion right here. That's all you need to do. You don't even need to make an appointment. Just go in and just say, I want to have an abortion. That's okay, fine, fine. You want to do that? It's fine. Hmm. I met with somebody recently, and it's just I'm not going to get into details. I decided to change. Look at that. That's my ADD. I'm not going to go down that story that I thought I was just going to go down because I don't want to talk about it. But we're all on this journey, and if you can't get an abortion in your state, I guess you have to go to another state. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. I just know that it's a state issue, and I believe that to be true. And when there's a will, there's a way. And that's what I believe. And if you're living in a state that isn't going to be able to allow you to have an abortion, then maybe you need to go to a state that does. Maybe when you're moving and you're buying a home or whatever, maybe you decide to go to a state that, says it's okay. That's your choice. I wish it was our choice on whether or not, alcohol was served at grocery stores. Wouldn't that be nice? Or medications or drugs. Wouldn't that be nice if you could vote on that too? I feel like more people die of overdoses and alcoholism than anything else that anybody's talking about. And it's really scary. I just watched a show about Kensington, which is in Philadelphia, downtown Philadelphia, and the people on the streets there and the people dying on the streets and how heartbreaking it is. And there was even a woman there with a child, and she was there to, score drugs because she knew she could do it legally in Kensington, in Philadelphia. And all I can say is when I was living in Philadelphia 6 years ago, Kensington was like changing. Kensington was becoming a new up and coming like area for hipsters. And there were all different chefs that were there opening up their first businesses there. And I remember there was an amazing baker, pastry chef, and she also made homemade ice creams. And she ended up opening a place in Kensington. And I said to JF at the time, I'm like, we've got to go down there because I love her desserts. I've always been a dessert eater and I have a sweet tooth. And I said, we have to go down to Kensington and go check out her place. And it was this small little place, but it was so cute. And I don't even think that's open anymore. I don't think she can have people will come down and actually support her business because it's in a bad neighborhood. And it's a bad neighborhood because they're allowing people to do drugs there. And so all these people are there to do drugs and they're dying in the streets and getting Narcan and all the rest of it. And just 6 years ago, people were there like starting new businesses. And I remember there was even a beer store that had beers from all different places all over the world and all different kinds and all different colors and all different flavors and every and somebody was there again starting their own business. And I can't imagine that that's still going. And it's like, what happened to the guy who wanted to go out there and start, or girl? Myself, I've been an entrepreneur pretty much all of my life, and I can't imagine if you wanted to go out there and rent a brick and mortar store in certain cities in this country. It's just too. It's you can't afford it. You can't afford the rent. It's too hard. So what do? Go online? That's another thing. Online, there's no community if you're online. I think when you're a salesperson and you have a business that you want to sell your goods to, and you can't meet people in person and say, hey, this is what I'm selling, this is what I've developed, or this is what I have a store that sells because I believe in this product so much. And if you're in person with people, you get to say, here, smell it, touch it. Hey, what's up with you? Where do you live? And you get to have conversation, and that makes community. And that's what there isn't very much of today. And I think that the drinking has taken off even more since COVID. And it's not COVID's fault. It's the fact that we've all been isolated so long. And so many people are still isolated. And so many people are still fearful. And they're alone. And then they're living in Facebook chat rooms. My God, can I think of anything worse? No, I can't. Would not work for me because I didn't. I have to be around people. I'm like, that's where I get my energy is from others. Is from being around other people. I just love being around people. So don't lock me up because I'm just not going to be good if I'm not around people. And I think what's gone on so recently is like everything is on this computer and nobody even goes to work. A lot of people don't go to work that are young, like my kids' age, and they're working from home. And somebody said to me, you know what the crazy part about working from home is, which I hadn't thought about, is if you don't have a mentor in front of you or next to you in your office, how do you learn your business even more? How do you learn to be better at what you're doing if you can't go to a place and be around other people that do the same thing you do and might be better than you are at what you're doing, you can learn from them. If they've been doing it longer, you can get some tips from them. There's so many benefits from being around other people. When we're isolated, I was not an isolated drinker, as a lot of you know. I was a go to a party and or go to a bar and dance my butt off and drink my face off, and that was my thing. I didn't sit at home by myself and feel sorry for myself. And I think that the people that do that, it's just so hard. It's so hard. And it's hard to get out of that. We get stuck in this rhythm of like, this is what we've been doing. I've been sitting in my house, drinking by myself. It's what I like to do. It's what I'm going to continue to do. But it's so isolating. You're so alone. That's why 12-step meetings are so amazing, because if you don't like one, you can go to another one. There's so many all around the country, and you can meet other people that are like-minded and at least you have one thing in common. You drank the same way. You might not have voted the same way, but you drank the same way. And you can sit there and you can compare your story to their story. And you don't have to feel like such a loser and so isolated and alone. There's a magic that you feel when you're with others, especially in a 12-step meeting. In a 12-step meeting, there's something that's there. I like to call it God's energy, because you see people change. I've watched so many people come in just like so down and out with no light in their eyes, and they transform in a very short period of time. Their lights come back on. Their happiness comes back. They have something to look forward to. We all need something to look forward to, whatever that may be. I was telling a friend the other day that I said, when I got 30 days without a drink, I bought myself a present. It wasn't expensive. And let me tell you, it was at like Nordstrom's Rack or Marshall's or something, just something very small, even a candle. And it was like, oh my gosh, I'm getting myself this gift because I believe in myself and I can keep going. And I did it for 30 days. So be proud of myself. Okay. That's what I did. And I think that always rewarding ourselves is not so selfish as it is, okay, I'm doing this, I'm putting effort into this, and what is my reward? There's always that, right? If you're a child and you work really hard and you win an award, that's huge, right? Because you're working really hard to be number one at what you're doing. If it's swimming, if it's racing on the ground, if it's like running, you're a runner. Or if you play for a soccer team or you play for football. Football is about to come out right now. And there's no I in football. It's a team, right? We come together as a team and we win as a team. And when they win the Super Bowl, it's everybody on the team gets the same ring, because it was a team sport. How can we have a team if we're sitting at home by ourselves? We all need community. It's so important that we have community. And I even think you find it at churches, whatever kind of church or synagogue or mosque you go to, you find community there. You find people to be around so you don't feel alone. You don't feel isolated. I think it's crazy that all these people are fighting on my Facebook page back and forth and back and forth. And I get it. We need a place that we can tell our truth. Is that it? We can do it on Facebook because we can hide it between, I don't know. I don't know. Whatever you want to do, I guess, is what you want to do. I'm not going to spend my whole day on Facebook fighting people and telling them who to vote for and not who to vote for and what's important and what's not important. You've got to do your research. But you can't be just sitting back and saying, well, this is what this person's doing, so I'm going to do it. I have to do it because there's movie stars at this one. By the way, did you know the DNC was literally, it was choreographed by the person who does the Oscars. The same person who produces the Oscars produced the Democratic National Convention. Does that tell you something? The jesters are now running. If you're out there and you're reading, if you're listening to this and you're like, what are the jesters? So back when there was a king and a queen, like there still is in England, but they don't run everything. There's parliament now. But what the king and the queen, they would have entertainers, and they would be jugglers, there would be clowns, all sorts of things. There would be actors putting on shows, Shakespeare shows. I will promise you this. The king and the queen did not go to the person that starred in the whatever Shakespearean play it was, and say, "So what do you believe politically? What do you think I should do?" No one would ever have done that. You want to go to bright people, brighter than you, and get information from them. It's like when you get a sponsor when you're getting sober. It's like having a fellow traveler, somebody to actually check in with, and somebody you can talk to when you're feeling squirrely. You're not going to go pick somebody who's right there at the same level you are. No, you're going to pick somebody who has more experience. They seem a little happy. They might have something you want to ask that person for help. We don't ask people to help us that are at the same helpless level that we are, right? We ask people to help us that have something that we want. When I got sober 18 plus years ago, I asked somebody to help me, a fellow traveler. I don't even talk to that person anymore, but I still think of them. And I think, oh my gosh, thank you so much for all of your help. You helped me so much because you helped me get through that first year. And then I had somebody else for another like 8 years. Then I had somebody else for a couple of years. Then I had somebody else for a couple of years. Now I've been with the same person for 3 years. And all of them have had something that I want. It's a peace, it's a serenity, it's a being that I just find that I want that because I have to find somebody that has something that I want. I don't want somebody that's a follower. I want a leader like I talked about. So here we are. We're at a new beginning. We can change. We can say it's so funny. I look at that like I've been a Republican forever of my entire life. And I look at like, oh my gosh, Donald Trump was a registered Democrat. Obviously, RFK was a Democrat his entire life. And so was Elon Musk. And here we are. And they've all changed. They've all been like, all right, we're gonna go underneath this party because it's all we have for choices is Republican. And we're going to go underneath this and we're going to bring America back to what it was. And you're going to be like, well, I don't want to be, well, I don't know what you want to go back to, but I know that I like that, there wasn't such insanity all over the place. I want there to be police. I want to be able to think that my grandchildren can go and play on the streets not worried about being hurt. I want there to come back some morals. I want there to be, a belief in God, and not so much the material stuff. You know what's so funny? I don't remember there being a time when everything I remember my parents having a lot of cocktail parties and a lot of family time together. I remember that. I remember that a lot. I remember them getting together with their friends all the time. My parents got together with they were young, but they got together with their friends all the time. I get together with my friends all the time, but I think a lot of people haven't done that yet. I feel like a lot of people are isolated by themselves because this fear that is in the world, it's so huge. I got somebody wrote something about, they're wearing a mask still because, there's a new variant of the cold coming and they have to wear a mask. That's fear. God doesn't want us to live in fear. In fact, until I went to Medjugorje, I didn't realize that fear is kind of a sin, right? We have to trust and we have to live in faith. There's something bigger than us, which I like to call God. And God, I have to trust God. If I don't trust that everything's going to work out exactly the way it's supposed to, then I'd sit here hiding in my house, being scared all the time. My belief in God is so much that I trust 110% that everything's going to work out. It's all going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. I don't have to sit here and live in the fear I lived in for so long. Like when I was drinking, I thought if I get to this point that I actually let go. Step three, that's pretty much step three is letting go. I thought if I let go that I was going to break like Humpty Dumpty and all the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty back together again. And I thought that about Elizabeth. Nobody's going to be able to put me back together. But with love of a friend, I was able to let go. I was able to give up all this stuff I carried around that was like a backpack that was heavy. All the trauma, all the hurts, all the letdowns. I carried around a really heavy backpack. And I thought, I can't lose this backpack because if I do, I'm not going to be okay. But again, I got a friend that listened to me and I unpacked that backpack slowly and I let stuff go and I continue to let stuff go. I just had something happen just the other day that it really brought up something in the past that I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot about that. That's really uncomfortable. And I can still get nasty when I'm uncomfortable. I can still get nasty. I notice it now a little quicker than I used to and apologize for my behavior. So they call it 10th steps. And, but I can do these things because I have people that love me unconditionally. And I don't know why it took so long for me to find some unconditional love, but I have it now and I have it today. And it has been an absolute game changer in my life is just having that unconditional love because then I can let go and I can trust and I can try and be better each and every day. So here we are, you guys. We're at a new beginning. It's time for change. Maybe you're going to do something you've never done before this year. Maybe you're going to vote for somebody you've never voted for before. Maybe you're going to go and investigate things you never investigated before. Maybe you're going to take some time and you're going to do things differently this year. Because here we are. It's a new beginning. It's not the end. It's a beginning. I hopefully you had a great summer. You don't have a lot of regrets. You don't have a lot of resentments, but you have a lot of hope and a lot of beliefs that this is going to be okay and that you're going to be okay and that watching everything that's going on is so it's just amazing. And I am so grateful that I have this platform and that I have you as my listeners and my cheerleaders and that you write to me because, I am a woman and I always say that, I've always had a chance to change my mind and it's okay. I change my mind all the time and that's okay. And it is okay that I get to be who I am, that I get to be who I am. And I try not to have too many resentments today. And if I have one, I call my friend, my sponsor, who I absolutely adore, and I call her and I tell her what's going on. And I'll tell you what she said to me again. I mentioned this in a podcast just recently, and it was she said, "This isn't change is not chains. You don't have to feel like you're wearing a bunch of chains. You get to be free, and it's change, and it's going to feel uncomfortable for a little bit, but it's okay. It's okay." You get to do this. You get to have this life and you get to change. And especially if you've been addicted to alcohol or been using drugs for a really long time and you want to change, you can. Don't be scared. It might be uncomfortable in the beginning. Dr. Camerlink, who was on Monday, said to me, I asked him a question. I said, "Do you think anybody ever goes through life without pain?" And he said, "No, everybody has pain, Elizabeth. Everybody has pain, and you won't never not have pain. I think when we're little children, we don't have pain until we're hurt or we have a sickness. But we're all going to have a little pain, you guys. But with no pain, there is no gain. I want America to be great again. I want it to be like it was when I was a kid, and that there were morals and beliefs, and that there were structures, and that there was unconditional love that you could find in your home. And if you had a different political belief, it was okay. You weren't going to fight on somebody's Facebook page. It's hysterical. I think it's hysterical. But we still live in America, and we still can do this. But Mark Zuckerberg just came out and said that the Biden Harris um, campaign wants Mark Zuckerberg to go and censor what's going on Facebook. And the last I checked, we're all adults, right? You're not even allowed to get a Facebook page, I think, until you're 18 years old. And so everybody on there is technically an adult. I'm doing that as air quotes, but you can go fight for a military at 18. And so everybody on there can make a choice of whether or not what they see they believe. But instead of walking around like a bunch of ghosts, you guys, we're not all drunk anymore. We're awake. You're awake. You can't say, well, I'm doing everything Sally Joe's doing, or I'm doing everything Bobby's doing. I'm doing everything Susie's doing. No, I've got to do what's right for me because we're awake now. We got to go investigate what's important to us. We can't just do what everybody else is doing because the celebrities say, because last I checked, I do not have a celebrity's checkbook. So what they believe is probably a little different than what I believe. What about you? Hmm? It's a new beginning. It's a new time. It's a new start. It's a new way to have a fresh plate this September. It's a new school year. It's a new you. You get to take care of you and do things differently this time, especially if what you've been doing hasn't been working. I can tell you this, trying to put a square peg in a round hole is really hard and uncomfortable. And I don't really like it. Do you? No. It's time to let go, get some education, stop being insane, doing the same things over and over and over again, expecting different results, and do something different for you and maybe for our country. So I hope you enjoyed today's podcast. Again, if you liked it, please subscribe and know that you are not alone. You are never alone, especially if you believe in God. All right, everybody, take care and keep getting busy.